All right, strike missions. Check this out. They're really good at making your dreams come true. Oh yeah, let's go! Some of the raddest, light, and most magical moments happen in kind of that December to early February time of year. This was back in December, and this is footage from Luke Bredar. Here's some footage of Brandon Davis and I, first week in February, kind of experimenting with the first follow cams I've ever really done up in Alaska, just trying to find that magic light. And one of my favorite parts about the early season is just how beautiful and majestic everything looks. You don't tend to get that hot light in the middle of the day. It's kind of like a forever sunset. Here at Crown Mountain Guide's operations base at Merrill Field in Anchorage. And a big thing that I wanted to talk about was Crown's holistic approach to heli skiing. I've done quite a bit of work with them over the last 2 years, and we're gonna kind of go through everything. It's gonna be a long video. I wanna give you guys an idea of what a day in the life at Crown is. You know, from the backyard to the tordrillos to the fly fishing, and they even have e-foiling and mountain biking. There's kind of activities year-round to do here at Crown, and that's one of my favorite parts. When I talk about a holistic approach to heli skiing, what I mean is that everyone from the pilots to the guides, mechanics, the operations at the day base, and everyone at Crown Mountain Guides is in-house, lives in the state of Alaska. The big difference between Crown and a lot of other heli ski operations is they're owned by Fly Alpha, and Fly Alpha owns all their helicopters and has the highest level of professionalism that I've experienced in the heli ski industry. Now, when it comes to the heli ski season, kind of February 15th through April 15th is going to be like your prime time window. And those are going to be the dates where you really have to book, you know, between August and November if you want to get your spot. It's kind of similar to like an Indonesian boat trip or something. And if the weather's lining up late November, early December into January, they have the ability to set up a last minute strike mission and kind of make things happen where a lot of other operators in Alaska aren't able to, because they're having to, you know, call guides that are maybe down in Canada or in the continental US. Outside of that primetime heli skiing season, they're able to utilize their resources to kind of make trips happen in the early season that other operators simply can't due to logistics and just not having the resources or aircraft to make it happen. Their main lodge base is just outside of Palmer, towards the Knik Glacier. It's all the way down at the end of the road, and that's what we kind of call the backyard area. It's where a lot of the follow cams that Brandon and I did were filmed, and that's going to be your shortest flight time. It's a ton of rideable terrain, but what's also cool is Alaska's got a lot of different little microclimates. And so where, you know, there might be clouds in the backyard, but over in Seward, it's blue, or, you know, maybe in the Tordrillos, a lot of times is kind of open and clear where like the Chugach might be clouded in. They're able to tailor your program to kind of exactly what your needs are. You know, it's mid-November and most of the primetime heli skiing dates are booked up with Crown for the 26th season. But what's so cool about the strike missions is just the magical light that you get that you really don't experience anywhere else in the world other than maybe like a Norway or a Sweden or somewhere. They're trips that can be planned a little bit more last minute. You know, if you're watching the weather and kind of in tune with what's going on, all you got to do is give Joe Green a call. There's a link in the description that's going to send you straight to all the information you need in order to reach out to Crown and kind of start lining things up with your crew and make things happen really fast. I think one of my favorite parts of our February trip was straight up just like stopping at this little scenic like ridge line. There's like all these crazy like glacier formations. We got a heli coming in. It's pretty crazy doing an interview at the airport. You really got to time. Like I kind of wanted to show you guys like what a day from my GoPro, my phone looks like when we went out to the Tordrillos in February. You guys can kind of get a couple different ideas, you know, what each day is like. Drop in 5.
That big old cool out right there across from us.
Dude.
That thing's fucking sick, dude.
All right.
Yep, get it.
Right before our big base camp trip out in the Tordrillos, we flew in the backyard in what Travis Elquist, Crown's lead guide, said was the deepest day he's ever experienced in the Chugach. And you know, one of the most magical parts of Alaska is like right after it snows and you get up in the air and you're kind of looking over all the mountains. I mean, those views of the glacier are just, you know, there's some of the most impactful moments on my life, and just kind of getting to scope like the different glacier formations, the light, you know, kind of looking out for avalanches. This was right after a big avalanche cycle. We're taking things really slow. Travis Elquist and Justin Bafou were kind of doing their snow assessments, and then I was out there with Mason Lemery, and we were kind of just dabbling our toes. And man, when I tell you it was deep, it was like up to my belly button line. And yeah, that day, you know, Mason and I were just kind of riding, having a good time, kind of getting our feet back for the bigger mountains. And definitely, like, it's crazy. Like, sometimes you're at the top of a face and you think you know where you're supposed to go. And I remember getting super lost. Like, I aired this little popper, and then I was trying to find my way onto this like microspine and kind of lost my way. But what I really love about the backyard is just the flights are so short, it's so accessible, you're right there at the lodge. And you know, I think from the time you lift off in the helicopter, you're skiing within 10 or 15 minutes usually. The lodge is just like such a fun spot. I mean, it's like all these quaint little cabins, and then, you know, everything's kind of all in one place. You really don't have to move. There's other times, like last year, we basically planned what was like my dream trip with Crown. We were camped out on the glacier for 13 days, and then we had the helicopter out there stationed at a nearby hunting cabin. And it was just so cool, and like how accommodating Crown was to our program. And with all their resources and logistics expertise, they were able to make it happen. We had Starlink guide meetings in the morning. They were able to, have a meeting with base, and at the end of the day, relay what happened. We had Josiah out there, which is Alpha Aviation's chief pilot and mechanic. And it was just so rad and unique, having the camp operation out there and then having the helicopter fly in. And kind of, we had our whole little bubble of what we knew existed, like right where our camp was, because we had been split boarding up until the heli came. And then it's like, once you get up in the air and kind of see what's out there, I mean, it's one of, I think, the most memorable experiences you can have. And, I'm definitely addicted to it. It's one of the big reasons that I've kind of like started to base my life up here and kind of seek out the bigger terrain and the bigger mountains and how to operate safely out there. And it's a huge reason why I've partnered with Crown. Since I was a kid, it's hard to find information on Alaska or how to go book a trip. Due to their boutique nature, the best kind of size of a group you can have is a 3-person group. You're gonna have 2 guides in the helicopter with your pilot, making 6 total. You have enough room for fuel, and you can kind of operate on a very private program. Now, if you wanted to kind of lower the cost and operate on a semi-private program, you can bring up to 7 people. You're gonna have your same 2 guides. One of the loads is gonna have 4 clients in there, and then the other load is gonna have 3. And that program's most tailored for like the backyard zone, where kind of the shuttles are short, and if the helicopter needs to go back for fuel, it can. If you are looking at any sort of a semi-private or private program, definitely reach out to Crown. That's why I'm recommending, if this is maybe your first time to Alaska, or you have gone during the primetime dates and you're not sure about the early season, I definitely recommend it. It's insanely good skiing and snowboarding, and the light, like I said, it's just, you can't beat the light that you get in November, December, and January. And, one of the reasons I'm up here right now, it snowed quite a bit, but, this is November 6th. And I think, as soon as there's a meter or 2 more snow up in the mountains, I think it's game on. So I think last year, Crown's first day operating was November 19th. And, that's coming up in 2 weeks. So hopefully within these next couple weeks, there's some storms that come through and we're able to get out there. On their summer program, one thing that's really cool is we kind of did the scouting for it in the 25 summer. So going into next year, they're going to have a full fly fishing program. They're partnered with Rainy Pass Lodge, where they can base out of there, which is a lodge kind of in between the Tordrillos and the Alaska Range on the north side of the Tordrillos. But it's the oldest hunting lodge operation in Alaska. And it is, I can't even sum it up into words. It felt like a little piece of history. And I got to run around there for 3 days last summer, and we were fly fishing. We were doing Denali flights. And, that's one really cool thing about Crown, whether it's in the summer flying the Kamchatka Spires, or last winter in February, we went all the way out to the Revelations. Crown can really make it happen, and their pilots are so experienced and so comfortable in these mountains and kind of the weather systems. And, their top priority is keeping everybody safe and, making sure everybody has a good time. And all the pilots are so badass. And, I've had a really, really good working experience with everyone here at the company. And, in the summer trip, I was with Desi Sherwood, who's the lead fishing guide in the summer. And Desi and I were just having such a good time. Joe Green was there, their sales guy, and we were kind of going through all the rivers. I'd never been fly fishing before. It was so cool getting to see them operate, see how knowledgeable Desi was, really just get to experience what Alaska is about in the summer. You know, you think in the winter it's cool, but in the summer when you have the snow and the green mountains and the lakes, it's just feels like Jurassic Park or just like something on another planet. But I really recommend at least looking into it if it's something you've always wanted to do. You know, what's maybe a little bit intimidating to people about Alaska is there's so many of these companies that sell these packages, and then, you know, there's other companies like Crown that, you know, sell kind of like boutique experiences, but maybe what you're looking for isn't exactly on the website, or you know, you got some crazy project in mind. And I think that's what kind of Crown specializes in, and a huge reason for our partnership is they're able to really make anything happen as long as it's logistically possible and they have the resources, which I believe they have probably the best logistics team and resources at any operation here in Alaska. So they're really good at making your dreams come true. That's definitely after our 13 days on the glacier and having the helicopter as a resource out there, and just getting to kind of go back and everybody like talk story in the kitchen tent. It was an experience I'll never forget. And, you know, a lot of these trips take planning, you know, financial resources, commitment from multiple people in the friend circle. But like I said before, the strike missions are a really affordable and kind of like more last minute option. Reach out to Joe Green and he'll kind of dial you in with what the schedule is, what the weather's looking like, and you know, the possibility of making your trip happen is. And then if you are looking for those primetime dates, I'd recommend in the summer before. So, you know, maybe you see this video now and you're thinking about it for next year. You know, I'd really get your crew dialed and committed and kind of plan out, you know, what week you do want to go. And the cool thing about Alaska is, you know, it's obviously every day is a gamble up here, but with Crown and their ability to access all the different ranges around Anchorage, it's you know, you're not just limited to like the backyard West Chugach. Like if Seward's good, you guys can fly over there. If the Tordrillos are firing, you can go that way. And you know, there's so many different options that you can get. And you know, Alaska is like very similar to Indonesia, where it's like a lot of little microclimates. So just because it's cloudy and snowing in one spot doesn't mean in another range it isn't sunny and bluebird. So with the ability to kind of look at different weather cams and talk to their different resources around the state, there's always almost a possibility to go skiing. So I think that about wraps it up. If you're looking for the dream trip, I'd highly recommend Crown. Yeah, if you have any questions, reach out in the comments. Thank you guys all for listening, watching. There's a ton of new people subscribed to the channel over the last like month and a half, which thank you guys. And you know, we're just kind of getting prepped for winter. I'm up here in Alaska. It's November 6th. We're gonna be at Mammoth for opening day, I believe. And you know, just praying for it to snow. So thank you guys for everything, and hopefully we'll see you up here at Crown.